Let's make a footer. We'll use the builder.io footer as inspiration to get started. It has a full width section with the background color, but the content is constrained, and then we have a border at the top, a border at the bottom, and then we have columns inside of the footer. Let's build out something similar. In Builder, in the Insert tab, drag in a section. This is a section block. Drag and drop that into the work area. Grab some columns and drop those inside of the section. To check that you actually got them into the section, you can click on the Layers tab and look in here. You have a section, and then inside of the section, you have some columns. In the Builder footer, we have a border at the top and a border at the bottom. To do that, we'll drag in a box into the top of our section. And then we can go over to the Style tab for the box and look at the border. Right now the default is that there is no border. So let's add a solid border and we'll make it 1 pixel. And for the time being, we'll leave it black because what we're going to do next is select the section and we're going to give it a background color. So if we go here, still inside the Style tab, we can click to pick our color of the background. And I have the hex code that we use on the Builder footer. I'm going to paste that hex code in here and click away. So now I have the background and I can see that this whole area now is the section. So let's go back to our box and then let's adjust the color so that it is more like the one that we have on Builder. So we can take the transparency down if we like, opacity that is. Now what we need to do, since we don't have boxes, we have just a straight line, is to collapse that, right? So if we scroll up to the top, in the layout section, we'll see that a box comes with a default height of 200 pixels. So just highlight that and delete it, and now you have a border. If we click away, we can see it. And now what we can do is we can duplicate it. So you can either Option drag, or you can use Command D, and it'll make a second one. That is Command D on a Mac or Control D on a PC. We'll just drag it down and put it right there. We can see that we have our 2 borders. The next step then is to put our Builder logo in there. So here's the Builder logo, and we'll just add the picture. Select the image and click Edit, then click Choose Photo, and here I already have some photos in my recent photos where I have the Builder logo. So I'll select that. For background size, let's change it from the default of cover to contain so that it never gets cropped. Now we need to make it a little bit smaller. Let's go over to max height. I'm going to say 80 pixels as a maximum height. And then for the minimum height, I don't want it to go quite that small. I want it to maybe never go below 60 pixels. There. That means on whatever screen that you're using, whether it's really small or really big, it'll always stay between 60 pixels and 80 pixels. Now we can delete this other image block because we don't need it. And we can actually delete this content that is the default placeholder content for the section block. So we can delete that. Let's go grab the copy that's right here. When you are pasting copy into Builder, sometimes it takes with it the copy styles from wherever you copied that text. So here what we can do is we'll get rid of this that's in here, and we can do Command or Control Shift V to paste it with no styles attached to it. Next, let's look at those columns of text. So we have these columns here where we have a header and then we have some links underneath them. So let's go over here and let's add some here. Let's make the first one, like they have, developers. So we double click on that and we can just write with our caps lock on, developers, and I'm going to select it and I'm going to make it bold. So we have our header in place. Let's make a few links to go underneath it. So you can select the header, the text block, and you can press Control or Command D, and that'll make a second one. But we want to style this a little differently. So we can open it up and we can type developer docs. And let's select it and take that bold off. And we also need to adjust some of the styles because we don't want all of the styles to have this big margin on top of them. So with it selected, we're going to scroll down to the margin and padding section inside of the Style tab. And let's actually remove this margin for now. And what we're going to do instead is we're going to add padding around it. Let's add, how about 10 pixels to the top and 10 pixels to the bottom. And let's duplicate that. So I have it selected, Command D or Control D, and I'm going to make a few of those. I'm going to go away for a second and update all of this copy. Okay, I've edited all the copy here, and I've mimicked what they have here in this first column. Now we need some more columns. They have 4 total columns here, but let's just do 3, and I'll show you why. Let's come back over here and select our columns block and click Edit. Then we can add a column, and it'll just duplicate the last column in there. I'm going to go and update this copy, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've updated all the copy in this third column, and I've also come into the Layers tab and selected all of the text layers, because if we look at the Builder example, all of the copy is left justified. So I'm going to come over here now in the Style tab, in the Typography section, and tap Left Align. So that's pretty close. Now I can click away so that we don't have everything selected. And we can see there's a little bit of a difference here, right? So they actually have 4 columns, and right now I only have 3. And rather than repeating each one of those, I wanted to show you a little something. Let's say that you only wanted 3, and you wanted some space in between there, as if it were a blank column. To get some space between those second and third columns, we can use a box. We can use this like a spacing element. So you just grab the box and bring it over here and drop it right between those 2 columns. There we go. There's one more little thing here, and that's the Builder logo. It's in the center here, but in our example, it's over on the left. So let's make sure we have our picture selected. And then if we look under the Layout section in the Style tab, it's at the very top, by Align, we see that the default is this full width, right? So that takes up the full width of the space that it's actually in, but we want it to be over on the left, so we can just click the left. Remember when we added the padding to each one of these links rather than margin? The reason is usability. When we use padding to increase the size of a text block that is a link, then we are increasing the target, the space where we can touch and is active for our link. So if we look here, Builder for Developers, and I edit it, let's see, I want to add a link. So I'm going to add Builder as the link. And then whenever anyone hovers over this, you'll see that you get the little hand. So that whole area is active for clicking. Let's take a preview, click the eye, View Current Draft. And now we can see, if I mouse over it, you can see that there's a larger area here. If we had used margin instead of padding, the link would only be where the letters are, as opposed to this padded out area around it. There's one more usability touch that we need to put in place, and that's the alt text for the logo. So let's go back over into Builder and click our picture and click Edit. And then here in the alt text field, we should write Builder logo. That way screen readers will know what this is, and they'll read out Builder logo when they get to this point. The next thing that we need to check is the responsiveness of our footer. There's so much that goes into a footer that sometimes you have to be careful to make sure that everything stays responsive. So let's take a look. Here we're on the laptop view, and we can click Tablet. And if we scroll down, we can see here we have that big box, but otherwise things look pretty good. What we can do is hide that box on smaller screen sizes. So if we click it, have it selected like that, I can go over here to the Style tab, into the Visibility section, and hide it on Tablet. I'm on Tablet here. It goes away. That looks great. Then we can take a peek at the phone. It isn't removed there because I haven't turned on this toggle. So let's turn that on there. And now our footer is as expected. Can go back to Tablet, and we can go back to the laptop version, and the box is still there. And that's how you make a footer in Builder.